Welcome back to our channel, Coin History Vault. These Lincoln penny 1-cent coins make people rich. Let's find out why. Don't miss out one of these. Who know a sigil coin make you rich? Let's start this. Coin 1. Take a close look at a simple 1-cent coin from your pocket, because the Lincoln penny of the year 2009 is not just spare change. It is a powerful story frozen in copper and zinc, created to honor history, celebrate Abraham Lincoln, and surprise collectors around the world. This coin is more than money. It is a time capsule, a tribute, and in some cases, a hidden treasure. The year 2009 was special for the United States of America. It marked the 200th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln and the 100th anniversary of his appearance on the Lincoln cent. To celebrate this historic moment, the United States Mint did something extraordinary. Instead of one design, 4 different reverse designs were released, each telling a chapter of Lincoln's life. From his humble beginnings in a log cabin, to his hard-working youth, to his professional life, and finally to his presidency during one of the most difficult times in American history. Every single design carries emotion, meaning, and deep national pride. Collectors love the 2009 Lincoln penny because it represents a complete story. Each design feels like a page from a history book, and when you hold all 4, it feels like owning a small museum in your hand. But beyond history, what truly excites coin lovers are the rare variations and minting errors hiding within these pennies. This is where ordinary people suddenly become treasure hunters. Some 2009 Lincoln pennies were struck with weak details, doubled images, or off-center designs. These errors were not intentional, and that is exactly what makes them valuable. A double die error can cause letters and numbers to appear doubled, especially on Lincoln's face, the date, or the words on the coin. Off-center strikes can show blank space where the design should be, creating a dramatic and eye-catching look. There are also pennies with missing details, clipped edges, or unusual surface textures caused by minting mistakes. Another reason collectors carefully inspect these coins is the metal composition. In 2009, pennies were made primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating. However, rare transitional or experimental errors can create unusual weight and color differences. A penny that feels heavier or looks different from normal can instantly raise excitement among experienced collectors. Condition plays a massive role in value. A circulated penny that has been passed from hand to hand may only tell a story. But a coin preserved in uncirculated or mint condition becomes something special. Sharp details, original shine, and no scratches can turn a common coin into a collector's dream. Proof versions, struck with extra care for collectors, feature mirror-like surfaces and frosted designs that look stunning under light. What makes the 2009 Lincoln penny truly fascinating is that many of these coins are still out there. They sit in jars, drawers, wallets, and piggy banks. People overlook them because they believe 1 cent cannot matter. But history has shown again and again that knowledge turns small things into valuable discoveries. Every collector remembers the thrill of finding something rare where they least expected it. This coin connects beginners and advanced collectors alike. New collectors enjoy learning the story behind each design, while experienced numismatists hunt for rare errors and high-grade examples. It is a coin that invites curiosity, patience, and passion. When you look closely, you stop seeing a penny and start seeing craftsmanship, history, and possibility. Now, let us talk about value, because this is the moment everyone waits for. Most regular circulated 2009 Lincoln pennies are worth only their face value. However, uncirculated examples can be worth a few dollars. Proof versions can be worth several dollars more depending on condition. Error coins can be worth tens to hundreds of dollars. Rare high-grade examples sold at auctions have reached values of several $100s, and in exceptional cases, prices have climbed into the range of over $1,000, all depending on rarity, condition, and demand. So the next time you find a 2009 Lincoln penny, do not rush to spend it. Look at it carefully. Turn it over. Study the design. Check for errors. Because sometimes, the smallest coin can tell the biggest story and quietly hold more value than anyone expects. Coin 2, a coin that looks simple, ordinary, and common at first glance, but carries a deep story from a very unusual time in American history. The United States of America Lincoln penny from the year 1966 is not just a 1-cent coin. It is a symbol of change, confusion, and quiet rarity that many people still do not understand. When you hold a 1966 Lincoln 1-cent coin in your hand, you are holding a piece of an era when the United States Mint was under pressure. The country was facing a major coin shortage. People were hoarding coins, silver was disappearing from circulation, and the mint had to act fast. To stop collectors from pulling coins out of circulation, something very unusual was done. Mint marks were completely removed. That means the 1966 Lincoln penny does not show whether it was made in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. This single decision alone makes this coin historically fascinating. Because mint marks were removed, many people assume these pennies are common and boring. But experienced collectors know better. During this time, coins were produced at extremely high speed. Quality control suffered. Machines were overworked. Dies were reused for too long. And this is where the magic happens. Errors were created, and errors are what collectors love. Some 1966 Lincoln pennies show strong double die features. This can appear on the date, on the word liberty, or on the phrase "In God We Trust." When letters or numbers look slightly doubled, thicker, or shadowed, it can be a sign of a valuable minting error. Other coins show off-center strikes, where the design is not perfectly aligned. Some show clipped planchets, where part of the coin is missing due to a metal cutting mistake. There are also examples with weak strikes, missing details, or unusual textures that make collectors stop and stare. Another important factor is the metal composition. The 1966 penny was made of mostly copper, before the major composition change of the early 1970s. This gives the coin a solid feel and a rich color that many collectors prefer. Pennies from this era often age beautifully, developing deep red, brown, or even fiery tones when preserved properly. A well-preserved example can look stunning even after decades. Condition plays a huge role in value. A worn penny that has traveled through thousands of hands may only tell a story. But a coin that was pulled from circulation early, stored safely, and kept away from damage becomes something special. Uncirculated coins with sharp details, strong luster, and no marks are much harder to find than people think. Proof coins from this year also exist, struck with extra care, smooth mirrored surfaces, and crisp design details that stand out under light. What makes the 1966 Lincoln penny especially exciting is that it is still hiding in plain sight. It can be found in old jars, family collections, inherited boxes, or forgotten drawers. Many people never check them closely. But collectors know that patience and careful observation can turn a single cent into a surprising discovery. This coin teaches an important lesson to every coin lover. Rarity is not always about low numbers. Sometimes rarity comes from history, mistakes, and moments when systems were pushed to their limits. The 1966 Lincoln penny was born during one of those moments. That is why it continues to attract attention, curiosity, and respect in the numismatic world. Now let us talk about value, because this is what everyone waits for. Most circulated 1966 Lincoln pennies are usually worth only a small premium over face value. Uncirculated examples can be worth several dollars depending on condition. Proof coins often sell for higher amounts, especially in excellent condition. Error coins can be worth tens to hundreds of dollars. Rare high-grade error examples sold at auction have reached values in the range of several $100s, and in exceptional cases, prices have crossed into the low thousands, depending on the type of error, condition, and collector demand. Coin 3. The United States of America Lincoln penny from the year 1982 is not just a 1-cent coin. It is a turning point. A crossover. A year where everything changed, and that change created rarity hiding in plain sight. When you look at a 1982 Lincoln penny, it may seem ordinary. Abraham Lincoln's familiar face looks the same. The size feels normal. But this single year produced more varieties than almost any other Lincoln cent ever made. That is why collectors pay very close attention to this date. 1982 was the year the United States Mint transitioned from mostly copper pennies to mostly zinc pennies with a thin copper coating. This change was made to reduce costs, but it created a collector's dream. During this transition, both copper and zinc pennies were produced at the same time. This means that two coins with the same date can have very different weights, feels, and values. Copper pennies from this year are heavier and have a warmer tone, while zinc pennies are lighter and often sound different when dropped. Many people do not realize this difference, but experienced collectors often carry a scale just for this reason, but the story does not end there. The 1982 Lincoln penny also exists with different date styles. Some coins have a large date, and others have a small date. When you combine metal composition with date style, you suddenly have multiple varieties from a single year. This complexity is what makes this coin legendary among penny collectors. Finding the right combination can feel like solving a mystery that few people even know exists. Errors make this coin even more exciting. Some 1982 pennies were struck with weak strikes, causing missing details in Lincoln's hair or the lettering. Others show double die errors, where the date or inscriptions appear doubled or shadowed. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and uneven copper plating are also known from this year. A zinc penny with improper copper coating can show bubbling, peeling, or exposed gray metal underneath, creating a dramatic and unusual appearance that collectors actively seek. One of the most talked about possibilities is the rare case where a copper planchet was accidentally used when a zinc planchet should have been used. These transition errors are extremely rare and highly desirable. They represent mistakes that should never have left the mint, yet somehow made their way into circulation. Holding one feels like holding a secret that survived history. Condition is everything. A heavily circulated 1982 penny may be interesting, but a well-preserved example is something else entirely. Coins with sharp details, original luster, and minimal marks are far harder to find than people expect. Proof coins from this year also exist, struck with extra care and mirror-like finishes that elevate the design and make Lincoln's portrait stand out beautifully. What makes this coin especially thrilling is that it is still out there. It can be found in old jars, rolls from the bank, inherited collections, or even pocket change. Every collector remembers the first time they weighed a 1982 penny and realized they might be holding something special. This coin teaches patience, curiosity, and the importance of looking closer at things most people overlook. The 1982 Lincoln penny is not about instant riches. It is about knowledge. The more you understand it, the more valuable it becomes. It is a perfect example of how history, economics, and human error can combine to create collectible magic. This is why coin lovers listen carefully when this year is mentioned, because they know surprises are always possible. Now let us talk about value. Most common circulated 1982 zinc pennies are worth face value. Copper versions in circulated condition are usually worth slightly more. Uncirculated copper pennies can be worth several dollars. Proof coins often sell for higher amounts depending on condition. Error coins can be worth tens to hundreds of dollars. Rare transition errors and high-grade examples sold at auction have reached values in the thousands of dollars, with some exceptional pieces selling for several $1,000s depending on authenticity, condition, and collector demand. Coin, for the United States of America Lincoln penny from 1978 with the D Mint mark is one of those coins that hides its importance behind familiarity. Most people have seen it. Few have truly studied it. And that is exactly why collectors pay close attention to it. The 1978 D Lincoln 1-cent coin was struck in Denver, during the final years before the penny would undergo major changes in metal composition and minting technology. At this time, the penny was still made primarily of copper, giving it a solid feel and a rich color that modern pennies no longer have. This alone makes it appealing to collectors who appreciate the weight, sound, and aging qualities of classic copper cents. At first glance, the design feels calm and familiar. Abraham Lincoln's portrait appears strong and thoughtful. But when collectors slow down and examine this coin closely, details begin to matter. The sharpness of Lincoln's hair, the strength of the lettering, and the clarity of the date all tell a story about how the coin was struck. During this period, the mint was producing huge numbers of coins, and that pressure sometimes resulted in mistakes. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes create excitement. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1978 D penny is the potential for double die errors. These can appear as doubling on the date, on the word liberty, or on the phrase "In God We Trust." Sometimes the doubling is bold and obvious, other times it is subtle and requires careful inspection. Even small doubling can make a big difference to collectors who specialize in error coins. Off-center strikes are another exciting possibility. When the coin design is not perfectly aligned, part of the image may be missing, creating a dramatic look. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to an error in metal cutting, are also known from this era. Some coins show weak strikes, where certain details appear faded or incomplete, often due to worn dies or improper pressure during striking. Surface errors add another layer of intrigue. Die cracks, die chips, and unusual metal flow lines can create raised lines or blobs on the coin that were never part of the original design. These features may look like damage to an untrained eye, but to collectors, they are fingerprints of the minting process itself. Condition is everything with this coin. A penny that has been heavily circulated may only serve as a historical reminder. But a coin that was set aside early, kept safe, and preserved in uncirculated condition becomes something far more desirable. Bright original luster, clean surfaces, and sharp details can dramatically increase collector interest. Proof versions were also produced for collectors, featuring mirror-like fields and frosted details that elevate the design and visual appeal. What makes the 1978 D Lincoln penny especially interesting is that it still exists everywhere. It can be found in old bank rolls, family collections, forgotten jars, and even pocket change. Many people never think twice about it. But collectors know that careful observation is the key. A single overlooked penny can turn into a conversation piece, a learning experience, or even a valuable addition to a collection. This coin represents a moment just before major transformation. Soon after, the penny would change composition, and the feel of American change would never be the same. That makes the 1978 D penny a quiet farewell to an era of solid copper cents. It reminds collectors that value is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it whispers through history, waiting for someone patient enough to listen. Now let us talk about value. Most circulated 1978 D Lincoln pennies are generally worth only face value. Uncirculated examples can be worth a few dollars depending on condition. Proof coins typically sell for higher amounts when well preserved. Error coins can be worth tens to hundreds of dollars. Rare high-grade error examples sold at auction have reached values in the range of several $100s, and in exceptional cases, prices have climbed into the low thousands, depending on rarity, condition, and collector demand. Coin 5. The United States of America Lincoln penny from the year 1983 may look simple, but behind that familiar face is a story full of surprises, mistakes, and hidden excitement that collectors love. When you pick up a 1983 Lincoln 1-cent coin, you are holding a product of change. Just 1 year earlier, the United States Mint had officially shifted the penny from mostly copper to a zinc core with a thin copper coating. By 1983, this new composition was fully in use. The coin became lighter, thinner in copper, and more vulnerable to minting problems. And those problems are exactly what make this penny so interesting today. At first glance, the design appears normal. Abraham Lincoln's portrait looks calm and dignified, just as it had for decades. But when collectors look closely, they start noticing details that separate ordinary coins from special ones. During this time, minting technology was still adjusting to the new zinc planchets. Machines were learning to strike a different metal, and quality control was not always perfect. This resulted in a wide range of errors that continue to excite coin lovers. One of the most famous and valuable errors connected to the 1983 penny is the rare case of a copper planchet error. Officially, no copper pennies were supposed to be made this year. But a very small number were accidentally struck on leftover copper planchets from earlier years. These coins look normal, but they feel heavier and have the rich copper tone collectors recognize instantly. Finding one is like finding a ghost from the past, and it is one of the most thrilling discoveries a penny collector can make. Beyond that legendary error, there are many other varieties worth attention. Because the penny is zinc with a thin copper layer, plating errors are common. Some coins show bubbling, blistering, peeling, or missing copper coating, revealing the gray zinc underneath. These dramatic surfaces may look damaged, but many are genuine mint errors that collectors actively seek. Double die errors also appear on some 1983 pennies. This can show up as doubling on the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "In God We Trust." Sometimes the doubling is bold, sometimes subtle, but trained eyes know exactly what to look for. Off-center strikes are another exciting find, where part of the design is pushed toward the edge, creating a unique and eye-catching appearance. Weak strikes are also common from this year. Zinc does not strike the same way copper does, and worn dies sometimes fail to bring out full details. This can cause Lincoln's hair or facial features to appear soft or incomplete. Die cracks, chips, and unusual metal flow lines can create raised marks that were never intended to be part of the design, turning an ordinary penny into a fascinating minting artifact. Condition still plays a massive role. A heavily circulated 1983 penny may only tell a story of everyday life. But a coin that was preserved early, protected from moisture and damage, and kept in uncirculated condition becomes far more desirable. Bright original luster, clean surfaces, and sharp details are much harder to find for zinc pennies because they corrode more easily than copper. What makes this coin especially exciting is that it is still hiding everywhere. It can be found in pocket change, old jars, coin rolls, and forgotten collections. Many people never weigh their pennies or look at them closely. But collectors know that patience, curiosity, and attention to detail can turn a common coin into an unforgettable discovery. The 1983 Lincoln penny teaches an important lesson. Value is not always obvious. Sometimes it comes from mistakes, from transitions, and from moments when systems were changing. This coin represents one of those moments, and that is why it continues to attract attention decades later. Now let us talk about value. Most circulated 1983 Lincoln pennies are generally worth face value. Well-preserved uncirculated examples can be worth a few dollars. Proof coins often sell for higher amounts depending on condition. Common mint errors can be worth tens of dollars. More dramatic errors can reach into the hundreds. Extremely rare copper planchet errors have sold at auction for tens of thousands of dollars, with some verified examples reaching values in the range of over $10,000, depending on condition, authentication, and collector demand. Coin 6. The United States of America Lincoln penny from the year 1967 may look ordinary at first glance, but this coin was born during one of the most confusing and fascinating periods the U.S. Mint ever faced. What seems like a simple 1-cent piece is actually a window into a system under pressure, and that is exactly why collectors listen closely when this year is mentioned. When you hold a 1967 Lincoln 1-cent coin, you are holding a product of the Great Coin Shortage era. During the mid-1960s, Americans were hoarding coins, silver was disappearing from circulation, and the mint was struggling to keep up with demand. To fight this problem, the mint made a dramatic decision. Mint marks were removed entirely. Just like 1965 and 1966, the 1967 penny carries no mint mark at all. This was done to discourage collectors from pulling coins out of circulation, but instead, it created long-lasting curiosity. Because of this decision, millions of pennies were struck quickly and in massive numbers. Speed mattered more than perfection. Dies were overused, machines ran non-stop, and quality control often took a back seat. For collectors today, this is where the excitement begins. Errors became more common, and errors are the heartbeat of rare coin collecting. Some 1967 Lincoln pennies display double die characteristics. You may notice doubling on the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "In God We Trust." Sometimes the doubling is light and requires magnification, while other times it is strong enough to catch the naked eye. These coins are especially exciting because they reflect mistakes made during die creation, not damage after circulation. Off-center strikes are another collectible feature from this year. These coins show part of the design pushed away from the center, sometimes cutting off letters or Lincoln's portrait. Clipped planchets also appear, caused when the metal strip was not cut correctly before striking. These errors leave the coin with a missing curved section, instantly making it stand out. The 1967 penny is also prized for its metal composition. It was still made of mostly copper, giving it a solid weight and a rich tone that modern pennies simply do not have. Over time, these coins can develop beautiful color variations, from deep brown to bright red hues, especially when preserved properly. Collectors often favor this era because the coins age gracefully and feel substantial in hand. Surface errors add even more interest. Die cracks, chips, and cuds can create raised lines or blobs on the coin that were never meant to be there. Weak strikes can cause Lincoln's hair, coat, or facial features to appear soft or incomplete. To an untrained eye, these might seem like flaws, but to collectors, they are fingerprints of history. Condition plays a critical role in value. Most 1967 pennies were heavily circulated, used daily, and worn down over time. Finding one in uncirculated condition with full luster, sharp details, and clean surfaces is much harder than many people expect. Proof coins were also produced this year, specially made for collectors, with smooth mirrored fields and crisp design details that stand out beautifully under light. What makes this coin truly exciting is how easy it is to overlook. It still lives in old jars, inherited collections, bank rolls, and forgotten boxes. Many people never think to examine it closely. But collectors know that knowledge turns ordinary objects into discoveries. Every penny tells a story, and 1967 tells a story of pressure, change, and unintended rarity. This coin reminds us that rarity does not always come from low numbers. Sometimes it comes from chaos, speed, and decisions made in desperation. That is why the 1967 Lincoln penny continues to hold a special place in the hearts of coin lovers. Now let us talk about value. Most circulated 1967 Lincoln pennies are generally worth only face value or a small premium. Uncirculated examples can be worth several dollars depending on condition. Proof coins often sell for higher amounts when well preserved. Error coins can be worth tens to hundreds of dollars. Rare high-grade error examples sold at auction have reached values in the range of several $100s, and in exceptional cases, prices have climbed into the low thousands, depending on the type of error, condition, and collector demand. Coin 7. We are traveling into the fascinating world of American pocket change to uncover the mystery, history, and hidden excitement behind one small copper coin that many people have overlooked for decades. This is the United States of America Lincoln penny from the year 1969, a 1-cent coin that may look ordinary at first glance, but carries stories, secrets, and surprises that can truly amaze coin lovers and collectors around the world. Imagine holding a penny that was minted during a time of huge change in American history. The year 1969 was a powerful moment in time. Humans walked on the moon, music and culture were transforming society, and the United States Mint was quietly producing millions of Lincoln cents for everyday use. These coins passed through countless hands, bought newspapers, candy, and coffee, and most were never given a second thought. Yet hidden among them are special varieties and errors that can turn an everyday penny into a collector's dream. The Lincoln penny design itself already carries deep meaning. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front represents unity, strength, and leadership. By 1969, this familiar image had been part of American life for 60 years. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly, and with a close look, you can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside. This small detail alone makes the design special, but what truly excites collectors is not just the artwork, it is what went wrong or went differently during production. Most 1969 Lincoln pennies were struck in Philadelphia and Denver, and they were made for circulation, not for rarity. However, collectors know that rarity is often born from mistakes. One of the most famous and valuable varieties connected to this year is the double die obverse variety. This error happened when the coin's design was impressed twice in a misaligned way, creating visible doubling on the date and lettering. To the trained eye, this doubling is bold and dramatic, not a simple shadow or wear. It is the kind of mistake that instantly sets a coin apart from millions of others. There are also off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned on the coin blank. Some 1969 pennies were struck with part of the design missing, creating a unique and eye-catching appearance. Broad strikes, where the coin spreads out wider than normal, and wrong planchet errors, where the penny was struck on metal meant for another coin, are also part of the exciting hunt. Each error tells a story of a moment inside the mint when machines did not behave perfectly. For collectors, the thrill is in the search. Knowing that a valuable coin could still be hiding in old jars, inherited collections, or forgotten boxes makes every penny worth a closer look. The 1969 Lincoln cent teaches us that history, art, and chance can come together in the smallest form. This is why coin lovers listen carefully, study details, and enjoy the journey as much as the discovery. Now let us talk about value, because this is where excitement truly peaks. A regular 1969 Lincoln penny in circulated condition is usually worth only 1 cent, while a clean uncirculated example may sell for a few dollars in the collector market. Error coins can be worth much more depending on the type and condition. The famous 1969 with doubled die obverse variety has sold at major auctions for tens of thousands of dollars, with top examples reaching values spoken as more than $50,000. These prices are based on real market demand and recorded auction results, making this small 1-cent coin one of the most talked about pennies in American numismatic history. Coin 8. We are diving into the fascinating story of a coin that almost everyone has seen, touched, and spent, yet very few people have truly studied. This is the United States of America Lincoln penny from 1980 with the D mint mark, a 1-cent coin that quietly carries history, hidden varieties, and collector excitement inside its small copper-colored body. What makes this coin so interesting is not loud headlines or obvious rarity, but the subtle details that reward patience, sharp eyes, and true curiosity. The year 1980 was a turning point for American coinage. The United States Mint was already planning major changes in metal composition due to rising copper prices, and this penny belongs to the final chapter of the classic bronze era before big transitions arrived just 2 years later. The 1980 D Lincoln cent was struck in Denver, a mint known for producing strong strikes but also for occasional errors that collectors love to hunt for decades later. When you look at this coin, the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln greets you, calm and dignified. By this time, the Lincoln cent had been part of American life for more than 70 years. The reverse still shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design filled with tiny details that many people never notice. Inside the memorial, the seated statue of Lincoln is still visible, a reminder that even small coins can carry impressive craftsmanship. What truly captures the attention of collectors are the errors and varieties connected to the 1980 D penny. One of the most talked about issues from this era involves striking errors caused by worn dies and high-speed minting. Some coins show noticeable doubling in the letters or date, sometimes mistaken for major doubled die varieties. Careful collectors know the difference and examine these pennies under magnification, searching for clear separation rather than flat shadows. Another exciting category is off-center strikes. A 1980 D penny struck off-center can show a dramatic missing portion of the design while still displaying the full date and mint mark. These pieces are especially attractive to collectors because each one looks different, making every example unique. Broad strikes are also found, where the coin spreads wider than normal due to a missing collar during striking. These errors give the penny an unusual shape that instantly stands out. Clipped planchets are another possibility. These errors occur when the metal blank was improperly cut, leaving a curved missing section along the edge. When combined with a strong strike and clear details, a clipped 1980 D penny becomes a fascinating conversation piece. There are also cases of die cracks and die chips, where metal fills parts of the design, creating raised lines or blobs that were never intended by the engraver. Collectors enjoy the 1980 D Lincoln cent because it represents a coin that feels familiar yet still offers surprises. It reminds coin lovers that rarity is not always about age. Sometimes it is about condition, mistakes, and survival. Finding a pristine uncirculated example or a dramatic error coin can feel just as exciting as discovering a much older piece. Now let us talk about value and worth in today's market. A normal circulated 1980 Lincoln penny is generally worth 1 cent, while uncirculated examples can sell for amounts spoken as a few dollars depending on condition. Error coins such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or strong mint errors have been known to sell for values spoken as tens of dollars to several $100s. Exceptional error examples and high-grade certified pieces have reached auction prices spoken as more than $1,000, based on real market sales and collector demand. Coin 9. We step back into the heart of the 1970s to explore a small copper coin that quietly moved through American hands while history unfolded all around it. This is the United States of America Lincoln penny from 1974, a 1-cent coin that many people still remember using, yet very few have truly examined. At first glance it looks simple, familiar, and ordinary, but once you slow down and really look, this penny begins to reveal why collectors continue to study it with excitement and respect. The year 1974 was a time of economic pressure, rising metal prices, and constant production inside the United States Mint. Millions of pennies were struck to keep up with daily demand, and when production moves fast, small mistakes can happen. These mistakes are exactly what make the 1974 Lincoln cent so interesting today. Each coin is a frozen moment from a busy mint floor, capturing both skilled craftsmanship and human imperfection. The design is the classic Lincoln Memorial style. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front shows strong detail, from the texture of his hair to the serious expression on his face. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands tall, and with a careful eye you can still see the tiny seated figure of Lincoln between the pillars. This detail often becomes weak on worn coins, so finding a sharp example adds extra appeal for collectors who value condition. One of the most talked about varieties from this year involves double die errors. Some 1974 pennies show noticeable doubling on letters or numbers, especially in the date and inscriptions. True double die coins show clear separation that looks almost like the design was printed twice. These are not shadows or damage from wear, but real mint errors that happened when the dies were improperly prepared. Collectors study these closely, knowing that strong examples are much harder to find than common coins. Off-center strikes are another exciting discovery connected to this penny. When the coin blank is not properly centered during striking, part of the design may be missing. As long as the date remains visible, these coins attract strong collector interest. Broad strikes, where the coin spreads wider due to a missing collar, also appear from this era and give the penny an unusual and eye-catching shape. Clipped planchets add even more variety to the story. These errors occur when the metal strip was not cut correctly, leaving a curved missing section along the edge. Some 1974 pennies also show die cracks, die breaks, or filled letters, creating raised lines or blobs that were never meant to be there. Each of these errors turns a common coin into a unique artifact. For coin lovers, the 1974 Lincoln penny is a reminder that history lives in everyday objects. You do not need a rare gold coin to feel excitement. Sometimes the thrill comes from finding something special in what most people ignore. Collectors enjoy searching rolls, jars, and old collections because this penny proves that surprises still exist. Now let us talk about value and worth in today's market. A standard circulated 1974 Lincoln penny is generally worth 1 cent, while uncirculated examples can sell for amounts spoken as a few dollars. Coins with confirmed double die errors, strong off-center strikes, or other major mint errors have sold for values spoken as tens of dollars to several $100s. Exceptional error coins and top-quality certified examples have reached auction prices spoken as more than $1,000, based on real market activity and documented auction results. Coin 10. We are taking an exciting journey into the world of American coins to uncover the story behind a small but fascinating piece of history, the United States of America Lincoln penny from 1985 with the D mint mark. At first glance, it may look like a simple 1-cent coin, the kind that most of us have carried in our pockets, used for vending machines, parking meters, or loose change in jars. But if you take a closer look and explore the details, you begin to see why this penny is so interesting for collectors, coin enthusiasts, and anyone who appreciates history in miniature form. The year 1985 was an intriguing time for the United States Mint. The economy was changing, copper prices were on the rise, and millions of pennies were being produced to keep up with everyday demand. Among these millions of coins, subtle differences and small mistakes emerged that would eventually create rare and valuable varieties. While most of the pennies circulated like ordinary coins, a select few contain errors or unique characteristics that turn them into collectors' treasures. The Lincoln penny itself carries deep historical and artistic significance. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse has been a symbol of strength and unity since it first appeared on the 1-cent coin in 1909. By 1985, this iconic design had been part of American life for over 75 years. Lincoln's profile, the careful engraving of his hair, the serious and thoughtful expression on his face, all make this small coin an enduring work of art. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands tall and proud, and if you look closely, the tiny seated figure of Lincoln inside the memorial is still visible, a detail that many casual observers miss. For collectors, these small design features are not just decorations, they are evidence of careful mint craftsmanship and important historical symbolism. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1985 Lincoln penny is its potential for errors and varieties. Coin collectors know that the U.S. Mint produces millions of coins under high-speed conditions, and even a small misalignment or miscalculation can create a rare coin. One example is the double die obverse variety. In these coins, the date and letters appear doubled, as if the design was struck twice in slightly different positions. To the untrained eye, this might look like ordinary wear or damage, but a trained collector can spot the sharp, separated doubling that makes these coins so valuable. True double die examples from 1985 are extremely rare and highly sought after in the collector community. Another type of error collectors search for is off-center strikes. When a coin blank is not perfectly aligned in the press, the design is partially missing, creating an unusual and dramatic effect. Some off-center 1985 pennies show most of the date and mint mark but have part of the Lincoln Memorial missing on the reverse, making them instantly recognizable and highly desirable. Broad strikes, where the coin spreads wider than normal because the collar is missing during striking, also occur and give the coin a distinctive appearance that sets it apart from the millions of normal pennies. Clipped planchets are yet another fascinating error. These occur when the coin blank is improperly cut from the metal strip, leaving a curved or angled missing section along the edge of the coin. Combined with strong striking, a clipped planchet can turn an ordinary penny into a unique artifact that stands out in any collection. Other varieties include die cracks, die chips, and filled letters, where metal has filled areas of the design, creating raised lines or bumps. Each of these anomalies tells a story about a moment on the mint floor, a small imperfection that now makes the coin rare and collectible. Collectors are not just interested in errors. Condition plays a huge role in the value and appeal of the 1985 penny. Coins that have been well preserved, free from scratches, corrosion, or heavy circulation wear, are prized by collectors. An uncirculated or mint state penny with full details can be a cornerstone of a collection, offering both historical significance and aesthetic appeal. These coins are often graded and certified by professional services, providing collectors with assurance of quality and authenticity. The 1985 Lincoln penny also teaches a broader lesson about the joy of collecting. It reminds us that rare and valuable coins can be found in places we least expect, in rolls of change at home, old jars tucked away in basements, or collections inherited from relatives. For many collectors, the thrill lies not just in the value, but in the hunt, the careful observation, and the sense of discovery. Every penny tells a story of history, design, and chance, making even small copper coins like this one deeply fascinating. Now let us discuss the real-world value of the 1985 Lincoln penny. A standard circulated example is generally worth 1 cent. However, an uncirculated, high-grade example in pristine condition can sell for amounts spoken as a few dollars. Error coins, such as strong double die varieties, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or broad strikes, can significantly increase the coin's worth. Depending on the severity and rarity of the error, such coins have sold for values spoken as tens of dollars, hundreds of dollars, and in exceptional cases, some unique certified examples have reached auction prices spoken as more than $1,000. These figures are based on verified market sales and documented auction results, making the 1985 D. Lincoln penny an intriguing coin for both new collectors and seasoned numismatists. This coin proves that even the smallest items can hold great stories, historical significance, and collector excitement. By paying attention to details, learning about varieties and errors, and appreciating the artistry of coin design, collectors can find beauty, value, and adventure in coins that most people take for granted. The 1985 D. Lincoln penny is not just a piece of copper, it is a miniature piece of American history, a treasure waiting to be discovered, studied, and cherished by those who appreciate the hidden wonders of everyday objects.